Fullbacks aren't supposed to dominate games. They aren't supposed to overwhelm entire sides of the pitch, shut down golden boot contenders, and then turn around and become playmakers in the final third. But in the 2024-2025 season, two players flipped the script, broke the mold, and terrorized every single opponent that stood in their way. Nuno Mendes and Achraf Hakimi didn't just perform like elite fullbacks, they performed like cheat codes. On opposite sides of the pitch, one Portuguese, one Moroccan, one left-footed, one right-footed, and together they form the most destructive fullback pairing in world football. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why PSG became one of the most unpredictable teams in Europe. Watch until the very end, because I'm going to reveal an insane fact about both players that 99% of you don't know. And I'll also drop a controversial question that I want you to answer in the comments. Before we go any deeper, smash that like button, turn on notifications, follow, and subscribe, because this is about to get good. Now, here's the hook. There's a tactical tweak both fullbacks made this season. Something so small, so subtle, that most defenders didn't even notice until they were already beaten. I'll reveal that tweak a little later, but keep your eyes open because once you understand it, you'll start noticing it in every single PSG game. But first, let's start with what these two did in 2024-2025. Nuno Mendes didn't just return from injury, he exploded. The young Portuguese fullback evolved into one of the most complete defenders in Europe. He became a lockdown merchant on the left side, shutting down some of the most explosive wingers in the game. When PSG faced Liverpool, Mendes completely neutralized Mohamed Salah. When they faced Arsenal, Bukayo Saka barely had a moment of comfort. And when he lined up against Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams for Portugal, his defensive timing looked like something out of a masterclass. But it wasn't just his defending. Mendes became a transitional engine. His ability to step into midfield, combined with Vitinha or Zaire Emery, and then burst into the left half space made him almost impossible to read. You never knew if he was going to overlap, underlap, carry through pressure, or hit a low-driven pass across goal. The wildest part? He did all of this at just 22 years old. And here's something most fans don't know. This season was one of the best years Portuguese players have ever had at PSG. Between Mendes, Vitinha, João Neves rumors heating up, and the club doubling down on their technical style, Portugal and Paris suddenly feel like cousins in football philosophy, control, intelligence, and aggression at the right moments. Now let's flip to the other side. Achraf Hakimi, the chaos generator himself, had one of the most dominant campaigns a right back has produced in years. Lightning fast, fearless, and incredibly decisive in the final third, Hakimi was an antidote to low blocks. Anytime PSG felt stuck, anytime the attack slowed down, Hakimi would push the entire tempo back to top speed. He overlaps, underlaps, and diagonal sprints force defenses to make impossible choices. Do you stay tight on him and open space for the winger? Do you track him inside and leave the line exposed? Or do you step forward and risk him burning you in behind? Most teams did nothing and still got burned. Hakimi also popped up with crucial goals. I'm talking big goals in high-pressure Champions League matches, the kind of moments that turn fullbacks into global stars. And his defensive work rate grew leaps and bounds this season. He read transitions better, his recovery runs were sharper, and he became one of the best stop-the-counter-before-it-starts fullbacks in football. But to truly understand why these two are this good, we gotta rewind to their origins. Nuno Mendes grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Sintra, Portugal. He didn't come from privilege. He didn't have endless resources or elite private training. What he had was desire. Coaches say he was the type of kid who studied older players, tried to copy their footwork, then showed up the next day already improved. He developed discipline early, the kind of discipline that shows when he's pressing, when he's recovering, when he's making split-second defensive choices that prevent goals. At Sporting CP's academy, Mendes wasn't the strongest or the fastest, but he was the most readable, as in, he could read the game. He had an early understanding of space, angles, and timing. That's why when he made the jump to Sporting's first team as a teenager, he instantly looked like he belonged. And when PSG came calling, they saw what others missed, a defender who thinks like a midfielder and moves like a winger. That's a rare formula. Hakimi's roots, meanwhile, trace back to Madrid, growing up in a Moroccan family with deep discipline and strong values. He joined Real Madrid's academy young, and because of the physical expectations and technical demands of La Fábrica, Hakimi had to sharpen every part of his game. Speed alone just wasn't enough. He developed timing. He developed vision. He developed a sense for chaos. And when he finally made his senior debut, it was clear. He was too explosive to stay a backup. He needed freedom. He needed responsibility. He needed a system that let him be himself. That journey took him through Dortmund, Inter, and finally Paris, each club shaping him, challenging him, and turning him into the world-class weapon he is today. Now, here's the cliffhanger payoff, the tactical tweak I kind of mentioned earlier. Both Mendes and Hakimi learned this season to delay their sprint by half a second during build-up. It sounds tiny, but this half second does something deadly. It forces the defender to commit first. Once the defender commits, the fullback has the angle advantage. Suddenly, they're through. Suddenly, the winger or midfielder gets pulled out of position. Suddenly, PSG is in a dangerous attacking lane. This micro-adjustment is one of the main reasons PSG became a transition monster this season. And here's where things get really scary. These two aren't just great individually. They're terrifying because they complement each other's strengths. Mendes gives Hakimi the security to bomb forward. Hakimi gives Mendes the offensive reference to play off. When one pushes, the other rebalances. When one overloads, the other stabilizes. It's organized chaos. No other duo in Europe works quite like them. Across England, Spain, Germany, Italy, and France, you have pairs like Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, Frimpong and Granaldo, Calabria and Theo Hernandez, Carvajal and Mendy. All brilliant, all elite. But here's why Mendes and Hakimi stand apart. They aren't symmetrical. They're complementary opposites. They aren't just runners. They're problem solvers. They don't just hold width, they control timing. Other duos rely heavily on patterns, robotic overlaps, predictable crosses, set combinations. Mendes and Hakimi rely on adaptability. Every game, every opponent, every phase looks different. Their decision-making is live, instinctive, and driven by reading the opponent's shape. That unpredictability is why top wingers struggled. Salah, Saka, Nico Williams, Yamal, Chiesa, they all had reduced influence when matched up with PSG's flanks this season. Some were shut down, others were forced wide, others became isolated. Mendes and Hakimi didn't give the stars of Europe any room to breathe. And here's the other half of their dominance: offensive impact. They aren't traditional cross and hope fullbacks. They don't hug the line and wait. They move inside, outside, behind, and across. Mendes often becomes an extra midfielder, while Hakimi becomes an extra winger. Their movement creates so much confusion that defenders have to choose between tracking them or protecting the box. Most teams failed at both. Now, here's the controversial question. If you had to build a team for a Champions League final and you could only pick one fullback, who are you taking? Nuno Mendes, the defensive wall who erases elite wingers, or Achraf Hakimi, the offensive missile who breaks open locked defenses? Let me know in the comments. And here's the final act I promise for those who stayed till the end. This season, when opponents tried to attack down Mendes' side, their expected goals dropped significantly compared to their average outputs. That means elite attackers became drastically less productive when facing him. In Hakimi, PSG generated significantly more transitions from his side. His involvement directly raised PSG's chance creation from turnovers, a hidden influence most fans never saw happening. These two details show exactly why Europe feared them. They didn't just defend, they didn't just attack, they warped the game. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, turn on notifications, follow and subscribe, and drop your controversial answer in the comments. Mendes or Hakimi? Who's saving your season? And tell me what duo you want next, because when it comes to football stories, we're just getting started.